Hello viewers, welcome to my channel IIT Olympiad and AP Physics with Ambarish. And today in the Olympiad workout series I've brought to you the Pathfinder Challenge Your Understanding Work Power Energy question number 1. So it's a very hard challenge and requires a good use of kinematics and geometry. So I'll straight away get to the challenge now. What's the challenge? Two identical beads A and B, each of mass small m, connected by a light rod of length r root 2, can slide without friction on a fixed ring of radius r. The beads are also connected to fixed points C and D with identical elastic cords, each of force constant K and relaxed length r root 2 as shown in the figure. Initially the cords coincide with the diameters of the ring and the system is in equilibrium. Now the bead rod assembly is displaced slightly aside and released. Find acceleration of the point of intersection P of the cords immediately before a cord becomes relaxed. So now here's the arrangement. The whole thing is in the horizontal plane. You can think there's no role of gravity. The entire arrangement is in the horizontal plane. And we have connected bead A and bead B by a massless rod. And these beads can also slide on the circular ring. Okay, smooth circular ring is there. Why they will slide? Because C is connected to A with an elastic cord which has got relaxed length r root 2, but right now its length is 2r, so it is in a stretched state, A to C. Okay, so this is stretched string, and similarly B to D also elastic string is stretched because its natural length is r root 2 and it is now stretched to a length of 2r. So what happens when B comes sliding down towards bottom? So this cord lengths, you can see that the cord lengths are going to decrease and they are going to gain kinetic energy. Now what's our problem? Our problem is to find the acceleration of point P, which is the intersection of the two cords, just before a string becomes relaxed. So if you want, you can try this challenge for some time. It might take a good half an hour or even more. So take your time if you want to try, and then you can see my solution right after this. Alright, so let's get to the solution. So now when do the cords become relaxed? You see their length, cord length, natural length is r root 2. Okay, and right now you can see that since this is a diametric arrangement and this length is also r root 2, so that means what? This is 90-degree angle, this is 90-degree angle, and these are diameters. Okay, and when bead B comes to the point C, so you can see that when bead B comes to point C, then distance dB will become r root 2. That means what? This dB cord, this will become relaxed. Okay, and similarly A will reach the position of B. When B comes to C, A reaches the position of B, and therefore this cord AC, this also becomes relaxed. So both cords become relaxed when B reaches C and A reaches the position of B. Alright, so now we need to do some geometrical observations. So let's see. Pay very careful attention because the logic is quite involved and you have to pay very careful attention to every step. So please have a look and carefully follow the logic. Okay, so now first thing that I'm going to prove is that the point P, which is the intersection of the beads, is going to move on a circular path with the diameter being DC. Now how am I going to prove it? It's based on a geometry theorem. What is that? So you can see that angle DAC will be half of the angle DPC, right? So angle DAC is half of angle DPC, and initially you know that this angle is 90 degrees. So angle DAC is going to be 45 degree. Alright. So DAC is 45 degrees. Similarly, this cord has got length r root 2. Similarly, cord AB cord of the circle also has got the length r root 2. And similarly, because of the same length cords, the angles subtended on the periphery are same. Okay. So if this angle is 45 degree, that means what? This angle is also going to be 45 degree. All right. So this is the initial condition. You can see that angle DAC and angle ADB both are 45 degree. Now what happens when the configuration shifts to the new configuration? Let us say A has come somewhere over here to the position A prime and B has slid over here to some position B prime. Now again you can see, because the cord length is still AB, cord length is still the same, so angle A prime DB is again still 45 degree. Similarly, this angle DA prime C, this angle is still 45 degree. Now you can see this triangle A prime, D and P. So this is 45, this is 45, therefore this angle must be 90 degree, right? And if that angle is 90 degrees, so this angle should also be 90 degrees. So that means angle DPC is going to be 90 degree. And what can you conclude? If angle DPC is always 90 degree, that means what? This angle must belong to a semicircle, right? Because you know that the angle in a semicircle is 90 degree. So that means what? The DC must be the diameter of the semicircle, or you can say the circle on which the point P is moving. So this way we have proved that P is going to move on a circle with DC as the diameter. So that was our first observation. All right. Now we need to do some more observation regarding kinematics of the problem. So again, pay very careful attention. We are going to make some observations about the kinematics. Okay, so let's see what are the observations. Now, so in the previous slide we showed that P is going to move on a circular arc with DC as the diameter, and obviously if DC is the diameter, then the midpoint is the center of the circle on which P is going to move. Okay, so just imagine a semicircle passing through D, P and C, okay, for your visualization purposes. Okay, so now the first observation that we can see here is that this omega of P about E should be equal to omega twice the omega of P about D. So what do we mean by this? So omega of P about E. So you can see that this angle PEC is going to be double the angle PDC, right? Why? Because this is a semicircle and EP is the radius and ED is the radius, so DEP is a isosceles triangle, okay, and therefore this angle is angle PDE and angle DPE, both are equal, and their sum should be equal to the exterior angle, that is PEC. So angle PEC is double the angle of PDC, and you know that DC is a fixed line and EC is also a fixed line, and this angle is always the double of this angle. That means what? The angular velocity of P about E must be the double of the angular velocity of P about D. Okay, so that's one, that's settled. Okay, and then what else we can say? Now omega of P about D is same as omega of B about D. Why? Because you know that D, P and B, they are all collinear points. Okay, and if they are all collinear points, that means what? The angular velocity of this straight line is the angular velocity of all the points lying on the straight line. Okay, so angular velocity of P about D is same as angular velocity of B about D. That's our second observation. All right. What else we can see from the kinematics of the problem? Now third observation, pay very careful attention to this one. I am saying omega of B about O. So O is the center of the circle. So omega of B about O is double the omega of B about D. Why? You see angle COB and CDB. You consider these two angles. So you know that angle subtended at the center is double the angle subtended at the periphery. That's a standard theorem in geometry. So angle subtended at the center is double the angle subtended on the periphery. Now CO is a fixed line and angle COB is double the angle of CDB, and CD is also a fixed line. That means what? So angular velocity of B about O must be double that of the angular velocity of B about D. So that's established. Okay, I hope this is clear, because the angles are always one is in the ratio 1:2, so angular velocities are also in the ratio 1:2, because angular velocity is nothing but the time derivative of the angles. All right, so this is established. Now fact 1, omega P is twice omega PD. Fact 2, omega PD is same as omega BD, and fact 3, omega BO is twice omega BD. And what follows from this is straight away the fact 4. So that means what? Omega PE is equal to omega BO. That is rate of rotation of P about E is same as rate of rotation of B about O. And we are going to use the this fact on the next slide. So when B, you recall B has to come all the way to C for strings to become relaxed. And in the process, when B comes to C, B has to rotate through an angle of 90 degree about O. Alright, so when B rotates an angle 90 degree about O, so P should also rotate through an angle of 90 degree about point E, and it will reach the point C. So B, C and P all are going to be coincident points, okay, when the strings become relaxed. So when B reaches C, P also reaches C with the same angular velocity about E as B has the angular velocity about O. That's straight away, I mean the fact number 4 that is stated in the language, okay. So B and P both reach C simultaneously, because both have to turn through an angle 90 degree, P about E and B about O in the same time. So B turns through 90 degree like this, and P turns through 90 degree by reaching point C, rotating about point E. Alright, So I hope this much kinematics of the problem is clear. Now once the kinematics is clear, now the dynamics equations are rather simple in this. The main thing was the geometry and kinematics observations. Okay, now we can straight away get to the dynamics part of it. Okay, so let's look at the next slide. Now loss in potential energy must be equal to the gain in kinetic energy of the beads. So elastic potential energy is getting lost and the beads are gaining kinetic energy. So what will be the loss in elastic potential energy? You know that initially the strings were stretched to length 2r, okay, whereas their natural length is r root 2. So this A was there and this was 2r, AC was 2r, and B was somewhere over here, and DB was also 2r, and now AC is also root 2r and BD is also root 2r. So what is the loss in elastic potential energy? You know that energy is half kr square. Okay, so we can say that now the stretching that has reduced is 2r minus r root 2. Natural length is r root 2 and the stretched length was 2r. So this is the loss in the stretching. Okay, so half kx square you can say, and into 2 because there are two such strings. So half kx square into 2 is equal to half into moment of inertia into omega square. Okay, so they're rotating about the center, and I can say mr square plus mr square is the moment of inertia. So half into 2mr square into omega square is the kinetic energy. So this simple conservation of mechanical energy, and what does that give you? This gives you omega square is k by m into 2 minus root 2 whole squared. Okay, so this we got omega. Now this is omega of what? This is omega of the entire dumbbell AB, you can say, which is also the omega of B about O, right? So omega of B about O is this, and we showed that whatever is the omega of B about O, same is the omega of C about same is the omega of point P about E. So this is also the omega of point P which is moving in a circle about E. In what radius? R by root 2. So this radius is R by root 2. Okay, so this is, now this omega must also be the maximum omega of B. Why? Because now the entire elastic energy is converted to kinetic energy. So that means what? The omega of B is maximum at this instant, and when omega is maximum, that means what? D omega by dt is 0, or we can say alpha is 0. Now omega of B about O is now maximum. Alpha of B about O is 0. That means what? Alpha of P about E is also 0. So that means what? P has got no tangential acceleration, it has got only centripetal acceleration about E, and whose omega we have already found out. So once I know the omega square, what do I do to find the centripetal acceleration? Just multiply it by the radius, that is the distance EP. Alright, so now let's multiply this. So A acceleration of P is omega square into R by root 2, because this distance is, you know, that whole thing is R root 2, so that divided by 2 becomes R by root 2. And if you solve this, you get acceleration of P as kr upon root 2m, 2 minus root 2 whole square, and that's our final answer. So I hope you liked this solution. It was a rather hard challenge, and to be honest, it took me quite a while to solve it, and then finally I felt like sharing the solution with all of you. So if you like this video, please do subscribe to my channel if you have not already subscribed, and share this video as much as possible with your friends, your peer group, whomever you think that this might help, those who are preparing for Olympiads or IITJ Advanced. Please share it as much as possible, and please do give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching the video. That's all for this video, and see you in the next one.